Welcome back in Solitude. I'm DJ Hero, and in this video, I want to talk about staying organized. As music producers in the home studio, digital, electronic music age, we are often the artist, the producer, the engineer, the PR specialist, the social media manager, and sometimes the record executive. We have a lot to deal with, and I bet most would agree we really just want to have fun making music. It doesn't matter what your skill level is. Staying organized may be the single most important production tip I can give you. If you're a beginner, staying organized can help minimize the frustrations that come from trying to figure out what you need to do next to make the sound that you hear in your head. If you're working on the professional level or working toward that as a goal, staying organized is going to speed up your productivity, allowing you to hit deadlines when they come up, because the more you get into it, there are definitely going to be some deadlines, some crunch time, and things that you're going to have to be responsible for. Let's dive in. First and foremost, organize your sample folders. Whether you're buying sound banks on sites like Loopmasters, sharing banks and receiving banks with friends and other producers, or downloading individual sounds from sites like Splice, put all those sounds in a place that makes sense. Name all of those folders something that makes sense. Make a folder for all your kick drum if you have a bunch of kicks, maybe one for your snares, or name them after the pack that you purchased or downloaded. For example, I have producer pack. It's the 808 drum bank, one for the 909 drum bank. I have one for acapellas. This Alien Weaponry drum fills is one that I downloaded from Splice. It's all drum fills. These are all old school sounds, right? These are all sounds that I have downloaded, purchased, found on the web over the past 20 some odd years of me making music. And I have them all named so that I can easily go to them and find sounds that I want. Create a separate folder for all of your sounds, the sounds that you like, the ones that maybe you've produced, sounds that you continually go back to the more tracks that you make. Maybe it's a kick drum that you find yourself using over and over again because you like the way that it sounds. Create a folder for your sounds. I have mine over here. I have it labeled Hero Production Samples. And I have it split into all of the different sounds that I like, right? I have different bass fragments. They are bass noises that I've made and then rendered out or downloaded over the years. A folder filled with breakbeats that I've sampled over the years. Claps, closed hats, cymbal rides, fills, so on and so forth. You get the gist there. Maybe you've created a bunch of sounds that you really, really like. Kick drums, snares, 808s, whatever. Don't make those one-time sounds. Collect them together to make a sound bank that defines you as an artist. Obviously, it'll grow and evolve over time, but two things will happen. One, you'll be able to get started quickly because you won't have to search for a sound that you want, that you know sounds good. You can go straight to it, boom, slap a kick in there, boom, slap a snare or a clap in there, and now you've got a couple of working sounds to get you beyond this initial loop that you have in your head. Two, fans will begin to recognize your music the more they hear it because they know your sound. And trust me, people consume products simply because they recognize the sound and the name. Organize your preset folders. I highly recommend separating them into folders of the same type, same sounds like bass, keys, leads, sub, percussion, so on and so forth. What that's going to do is that is going to allow you to cut out looking in folders and looking at a bunch of sounds that you're not looking for. So if I only want the growls, I can go, well, here's a folder of all growls. Or if I only want keys, here's a folder that's keys. Yeah, my keys folder isn't very big. And then, of course, as you buy packs or banks, do the same with them. Again, what that's going to do, the benefit of this is when you're looking for a lead sound or a pluck sound, a bass sound, you won't have to search through the sounds that you don't want. Here's an example of that. Here's a folder for just Splice downloads. It's a wreck. Would take me forever to find any one sound Maybe I want keys. Okay, well, we'll just keep going and we'll get to the Ks eventually. If it's labeled properly, who knows? Hey, there's some keys right there. Maybe we want pads. Well, that's P. It's later in the alphabet. That's not going to take forever. Okay, here we go. Oh, pads. And maybe I don't even know what some of these other ones are. Takes forever to find what you want. You get it. And then save presets as you make them. As you finish more and more tracks and produce more and more sounds, you're going to create a lot of patches for your synths. If you save them as you go, you'll easily be able to go back quickly for future projects. If you don't save them and you want that sound, you're going to have to close the project you're in, open the project that sound was in, save it, close that project, go back to the one that you were working in, open the new project, then load it in. Or, and tragically, it has happened to me many times, I've created a preset, flattened it without saving it. And now that preset's gone, I'm going to have to create it from scratch the next time I want to use a sound similar to that. So save your presets and then put them in a folder neatly so that you know how to find them. And then I would recommend saving the preset names, a consistent naming convention. You'll see I have DJ Hero, bass, growl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 72 at this point. And most of them have a little descriptor. Like this is a sound that's very Virtual Riot, a Skrillex sounding one. Nasty Hero, I guess I named that because I was feeling gross that day. Squelchy, right? Give it a descriptor. That way you can easily get to it. Maybe you're on YouTube and you're learning, you're watching one of those videos on how to sound just like whatever, pick one. They're all over the YouTube, and those videos are great ways to not only create cool sounds, but to learn the synth you're using. Save those presets so that you have them for the future, and save them neatly so that you know how to get to them quickly. Easy enough. Super important, that one. Again, that's also going to start defining your sound as a producer. And again, having that sound that people recognize helps build your brand as an artist, as well as speed up the process of getting the creative flow out onto the page, if you will. Save frequently used channel strips or plugin settings. If you're going to be using them over and over again, save yourself the time of creating them each time you need them. For example, we'll go here. I have a cutoff rack that I use in just about every tune. It has a utility, it's got a low pass, it's got a high pass, and the macros have been programmed. To build this rack probably take me 15 minutes. 15 minutes doesn't sound like much, but that's 15 minutes I'm not being creative. So what I've done is I created the rack and then I saved it, and I can get to it quickly every time I want it. And I use it in every track multiple times. Sometimes I'll use them on buses if I want to filter out all of my drums, things like that with that specific one. Or let's say I don't want that one. I have one for my lead synths, the processing, which I showed you how to make this one in a previous video, right? It's the main sound, reverb, delay. I use synths in every track just about, and I use this patch or this chain in just about every tune. I have one for stereo width, because sometimes you don't want the sound to be mono. There's a quick and easy one for you. So save those, because it's going to save you time as you work through the flow of your track, right? With third-party plugins, you're not going to necessarily be saving them to like the user banks or the user libraries, because they're going to save in their own folders. But here's a little, just the EQ, right? Here's all of the basic presets. I have a few of my own saved in here, and I use them regularly. I have one for cymbals. I have one for, hi-hats, my high pass 150, my low pass at 150. So save them and name them something that's convenient and memorable so that you can go to it quickly. If you're an Ableton user, I highly recommend you set up these collections. It's a super convenient way to group together the things that you use regularly. For example, I have one set up for plugins that I use repeatedly. Now I saved this one for just effects like EQs, compressors, reverbs, things like that. I have one for samples that I go to quite a bit. A lot of the time, or most of them, I think all of them actually, are all effects, like atmospheric effects and things like that I use in just about every tune. I have one for the various channel strips that I use regularly, and I have one for the synths that I use regularly. And the reason why these are super convenient is, for example, here on the synths, right, I have my operator, simpler, sampler, Lush 101, M1 Massive, so on and so forth. I use these regularly, but if I didn't have this folder set up, I'd go to my plugins. Now I'm looking for Massive or Serum or what have you. I also have to scroll through all of my effects plugs in, right? All my EQs and all of the various compressors and reverbs and all of that stuff. I have to sort it and find it. Or I have to switch folders to find the Ableton instruments. So create the collection. Now they're all there. Plugins, right? Here's all the Ableton ones, and then here's all the third-party ones that I use in every single tune. It's just a quick drag and drop, ready to go. Boom. And then the channel strips, of course, right? Here are the channel strips that I use, and then in this folder are some effects or channel strips that I might use regularly. They already have the effects on them. Good to go. Slap them in there, and that saves you some time. Time to switch from DAW organization and switch to the organization within the project. First things first, properly name your sounds, your clips, your MIDI clips, your audio files. Properly name all that stuff. This is perk, like percussion, kick. This is percussion clap, percussion open hat, closed hat, cymbal, an amen fill. Properly name all that stuff. Properly name the channels that they play on. If you've named all of the sounds and all of the channels clearly, you'll be able to quickly jump to a specific sound that you're looking to make changes to or adjustments to, as opposed to going, what's that sound I need to change? I'm sure you know, as you download sounds from various different websites, they are named with some arbitrary naming convention that is filled with numbers and letters and underscores and dashes, and maybe the word clap is thrown in there if it's a clap. Or maybe it's named something weird, but you think it's a different type of sound, so you have your own name in your head for it. If you just slap all that stuff on your timeline, you're going to get confused. So rename it. Take the time. Take the time that this is kick, and it looks like this, and I've actually consolidated them down to one loop, but individual kicks, right? Same with the open hats and the claps. So that's hi-hat loop and claps, the cymbal. Also, keep individual sounds on individual channels. Don't put a bunch of different sounds on one channel. Even if they are just a bunch of different hi-hats, make each of them unique. Give each of them their own unique channel. Avoid putting several different sounds on the one channel. One, you won't be able to affect them differently. You'll struggle to keep track of where each sound is on the timeline. Oh, and delete any sounds that aren't being used, any channels that aren't being used. I've mixed and mastered a lot of projects where the artist has deactivated a clip, right? You deactivate, right? Or they've muted that channel. All that does is confuse you, right? You've done that today, and maybe you're going to revisit the project in a week. You probably aren't going to remember why you did that in a week. So if the sound isn't supposed to be there, just delete it. Now, if you want to save that sound for use maybe later, maybe you do want to add it and you're just kind of going back and forth on maybe it should be, maybe it shouldn't be, just drag it to the channel it belongs to. Right? Now I know that this section up here, when you are using Ableton to perform, is reserved for all of your loops and your sounds, and you trigger them while you're performing. I don't perform with Ableton, so I use it as a storage rack for the sample itself, right? If we go back to this kick loop, perk kick 1, that loop, stretch that out, is right there. And if I wanted to, I could just drag it onto my timeline, and it's ready to go. Next up, group similar sounds together. Even if each sound within the group isn't necessarily being routed to that group, it's okay, but just group them together. You'll have the advantage of closing the group to save space when you're not working with it. And you'll be able to jump around more quickly when you want to make changes because you'll know exactly where the sound is that you're looking for. Now, I know that when we start producing a track, we'll go, okay, I got my little loop idea kind of penciled in. All right, let's start building with the kick. All right, we add a clap. And, I want to add to the loop idea, so we add another layer to the bass sound. If we just arbitrarily kept them in order that way, your percussion, you'll have a bass sound, maybe a little more percussion. Then next up, you added a vocal, and then you added a synth sound, a melody sound, and then an effect. I decided to fill out the percussion more, so I added some more down here. You're never going to find those sounds, and you're going to waste time looking for what you want when you could simply just bunch them all together, put them in a group, and there you go. Now, if you don't necessarily all want them routing to the group, easy enough. For example, my kick is routed to the master. This is a fill. It's routed to a different bus, but these, for the most part, are all routed to the bus itself, the group itself. You can do that. And every DAW has that functionality, not just Ableton. It may take a few extra steps to set that up. Ableton does have the great group function, and you can group within groups. Say you wanted to group, I just want to group all my hi-hats together here. Okay, boom, easy enough, right? But stay organized that way, because once all the percussion's done, if I need to work on other stuff, I just mute that or close that, and now I'm faced with this stuff. Well, maybe I don't need the bass line parts. I'm only working on these sounds. I don't need this. Now I have more space to work with, right? Our screens are only so big, and this track or this project only has 38 tracks. I've worked with projects that have upwards of 100. I've produced tracks that have upwards of 100, depending on what I'm doing. Like I said, your screen space is finite. If you've grouped everything neatly and organized everything neatly, you'll be able to get to those sounds, the ones that you want to work with, much more quickly, because you'll know exactly where they are. And if you're an Ableton user, you'll have that functionality of collapsing the group so that you don't have to have it in the way. Super convenient to do that. I highly recommend color coordinating similar sounds. You'll see here all of my percussion sounds are the blue, all of my bass sounds are this orange, all of my kind of vocal samples and whatnot, they're this lime green, synths yellow, and the effects are all purple here. Choose colors that are distinct from one another. Choose colors that are easy on the eyes. You're going to be staring at these colors for hours, right? I have a buddy that likes to work with the color red. I don't know why. And I mix down his music. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Staring at red for hours is painful. I'm an old man. My eyes aren't what they used to be. So I highly recommend choosing colors that are going to be easy on the eyes, things that you're going to be able to look at for a while without strain, without getting fatigued from staring at painful colors. Similarly, I know Ableton has a few different skins. Pick a skin that is also easy to look at. I am a fan of the light one because all the lettering is black for the most part. I like the way the dark looks, but it's not easy on the eyes. For some reason, I just don't like the lettering gets really bright. I think it looks cool, but I couldn't work that way. The default 9 one's okay, but I'm a big fan of the light one. I like that negative space. It allows my colors to pop through, and it keeps it as easy on the eyes as it can be for me. Everyone's going to be different, but choose something that is natural and easy on your eyes so that you can avoid long-term strain that way. And then kind of the last big one here, name your project file something a bit more memorable than new banger. So annoying. And when you finish the track, click Save As and name that file properly. Artist name, track name, mix name. Why? Because anywhere you go to consume music, that's what you're going to go. That's what you're going to see. If you go to Spotify, and you look up my music or anybody's music, you're going to see DJ Hero, Goosebumps, Original Mix. If you go to iTunes, it's going to be the same way. Beatport, same way, right? Keep it clear. That way, it's easy to see what the track is. Additionally, once the song is done, the track is done, once you've closed out, name the project folder to match, right? I can't tell you how many times I've received demos from people asking if I'd be interested in releasing the track, or maybe if I'd play it on shows, my mix shows, or out when I play shows. And the file they send me is just a bunch of random numbers and dashes and letters. No idea what that is. And if I've received more than one from different artists, I have a bunch of files that I can't discern from one another. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to delete them. And if me, the small-time independent record label, is going to do that, I guarantee you the big record label is going to do that too. They're going to go, no idea who this is. Delete. Or if they like it and they don't remember who sent it to them, they're not going to know how to get in touch with you. If you've at least named it properly, they might be able to search and find you on social media pretty quickly. So artist name, track name, mix name. DJ Hero, Goosebumps, Original Mix. Simple. If you've named the project folder to match, maybe in the future you want to go back to that, you can quickly find it. Easy. Boom, right there. Be proud of your work, right? Put your name on it. And don't waste time looking for folders or looking for the file when you're done. Obviously, when you start a new project, you may not have a name in mind. Maybe a bit different if you're working on a remix, but if you're starting a new original project, you probably don't have it named. Fair enough. What I do is I do date, artist name, and then some small sort of descriptor. So I'll go, today is March 11th, 2020. And the artist name, because I release music under different monikers, I'll have DJ Hero or John Bradley or Special J, one of my various different names, and then some sort of descriptor. Maybe it's a DJ Hero tune and I'm working on a breakbeat, so new break. Or maybe I'm working on a kind of an EDM track, so I'll put an EDM. So it'll be 3/11/20 DJ Hero house or break. That way I can go to it and I know what I'm looking at, and I'm not seeing a bunch of different folders that have random characters followed by the word project. That doesn't help. Remember, anything you can do to minimize distractions is going to let you focus on the creative aspects of producing. It's going to speed up your workflow, and it's going to maximize your productivity, allowing you to have a much more enjoyable experience when you work. And the more fun you have, the better the product's going to be, probably. Simple as that. As always, if you have any additional questions or ideas for future videos, leave them in the comments section below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you want more from me, DJ Hero, search Original DJ Hero, all one word, on Facebook, SoundCloud, Mixcloud, Twitter, and Instagram, or search DJ Hero on Beatport, iTunes, Spotify, and Google Play. Until next time, stay organized, have fun in your own projects. We'll see you soon.